Welcome to Good Horses, Stories of the American Quarter Horse. I'm Jim Jennings.
And I'm Bobby Loran. We're excited to bring you the stories of the horses that have made a lasting impact on some of the most legendary figures in the quarter horse industry. Each episode, we'll hear about the horses that challenged them, taught them, and left a special mark on their lives.
From remarkable lessons to unforgettable rides, these are the stories that celebrate the heart, soul, and horsepower of the American quarter horse.
This podcast is brought to you by the American Quarter Horse Association. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Good Horses podcast. Today's guest is nothing short of legendary. She's an AQHA world champion barrel racer. She's a National Hall of Fame cowgirl. She's a world champion barrel racer, a teacher, a mentor, and let me tell you, she is a lifelong advocate of the American quarter horse. Martha Josey, thank you for being on with us today.
Yeah, Bobby, thank you. I am so glad to be with you today.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. And you have helped so many riders chase their dreams, and behind every great rider is an even greater horse. And that's what we're going to do today, is just talk about the horses that shaped your story. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us about the quarter horses that really helped you in your younger years learn how to ride, develop horsemanship skills, and all the above.
Well, first of all, my dad was one of the first directors and loved and brought one of the first quarter horses into East Texas. So my first word wasn't mama or daddy. It was, I want a horse. And from the very beginning, he started bringing really these great mares into East Texas, and we'd go all over the country to look. And I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and he just loved the horses. And I remember one statement he made that, at the rodeos, everybody's talking quarter horses, And my dad was one of the first ones that started the Gladewater Rodeo, and they actually raced a horse against a car in the very beginning. Of course, the horse won.
Yeah.
But my dad passed away when I was 10, so Mother ended up selling all of the horses except one horse named Jimbo. And all through school, I actually played sports and didn't get to ride much. And then all of a sudden, I went to a rodeo at Shreveport, Louisiana. And when they had the barrel race, when the grand entry came out, and I saw the flag, I went, oh, I wanted to do this. And then when they had the barrel race, it was something too. Fan Leash was running, and I had remembered her from being a little girl, and I thought, oh, I want to do that. And I actually went home that night. The next day, I got a horse. I got Jimbo out of the stall. He'd been in the stall for 8 years. Put my dad's saddle on him and went to my grandmother's meadow, found 3 barrels, and I started barrel racing.
Oh, how cool.
Of course, there were no clinics then to learn, so I was kind of a self-learner.
Yeah. So what was so special about Jimbo? What did he teach you?
Well, he taught me that you needed to learn how to ride really quick, because he didn't, from being in a stall for 8 years, he didn't know a lot, but he had lots of good disposition and everything. And there was play days all around, so I'd load up, go to the play days. One day, a man, his name was C.B. Reynolds, and he was from Longview, Texas. He called and he said, "You're Henry Arthur's daughter. I know you can ride." And I said, "Well, I ride a little bit." He said, "I've got this horse named C.B. Reed. He's 3 years old. And I had bought a mare from your mother and bred her to an all-thoroughbred horse. And now I've got this horse, C.B., and I want you to come over and try him and ride him." And I said, "Oh, okay." And so I went over there, and he said, "If you want to, you can take him home and try him." I said, "Well, I'd love to, but I don't have a trailer and I don't have a car." And he said, "Well, you need to find one because you need to take this horse."
Aww.
So I went home, and my mother had an old Buick that had 300,000 miles on it. I took it to town and went to a little trailer place, and they had a trailer, and I rented it for $5. So you can imagine how good that trailer. And I went and picked up CB.
Yeah.
And when I first got him, he had not been trained very well. He'd go around the first barrel out of the arena.
Oh, no.
So anyway, we started training and riding and doing good. And I went mostly to quarter horse shows since my dad had gone to the quarter horse shows and started really doing good. And then I called him. I said, Mr. Reynolds, what do you want for this horse? He said, $5,000. $5,000. I said, oh my gosh. I said to myself, I don't even have $5. And then I kept riding him and I really started winning. And one of the first places I took him when I went big was to the American Royal at Kansas City. And I actually won it and broke the arena record there. So anyway, I called him back and I said, Mr. Reynolds, what do you want for that horse? He said, what will you give? I had traded for 3 $100 horses back then. And I said, I'll give you 3 horses and $2,500. He said, okay. Oh my, I started crying because
Martha.
I didn't have $2,500 and I didn't really have $25. And so I went home and I told my mother and I was crying. I said, Mama, I just bought CB Reed for $2,500. She said, honey, I leased my land for oil today for $2,500. And that's how I got the great horse. And this is why we're still having schools and clinics. And he got me started and he was the love of my life.
Oh, yeah, he put you on the map. That's divine intervention.
It was.
Yeah.
And, he had such a style. He would run to a barrel, slide behind, pull in front, really a straight. He didn't look like a barrel horse at the beginning, but he had such a style.
Man. So he was quite natural at
Yes.
Oh.
In fact, he won 52 barrel races in a row, 7 horse trailers.
Oh my
So
gosh. Wow. What a
that
feat.
started me in my going to the quarter horse shows and the rodeos and everything.
Yeah. I mean, from one icon to another, CB, he put you on the map, and then here comes Sonny Biddle both, and he took you to a whole new level. So talk about that.
Sonny Biddle both. I found him at a clinic, and CB was kind of starting to slow down, so I was looking for another horse. And R.E. was always really good about looking for horses, and he said, you better look at that bay horse that ran today. And so after the rodeo, after the clinic that night, we were staying in a motel. There was 500 rooms in this motel. I did not know the girl's name that owned the horse. So I knock on everybody's door and say, do you have a bay horse? No. Finally, I was sitting on the bed in the 5 o'clock in the morning thinking about that horse, and a truck started out in front, and I looked out the window, and it was that girl. Now I opened the door and said, come in. And I said, what do you want for that horse? And she told me, and I wrote her a check. Didn't even tell Josie I just bought the horse.
Oh my goodness.
And then we really started winning.
Yeah.
One of my students that was going at the same time, Lynn McKenzie, and we both kind of hit the road. And that first year I made the national finals on him.
Wow.
And in 1980, I decided I wanted to win both the WPRA and the AQHA, and it's hard to qualify for both.
Right.
But we ended up right now, and he's the only horse that has ever done that in the same year.
Yeah, such a feat. Oh my goodness. What was that season like, having to haul so much and qualify for both the WPRA and AQHA?
It was hard.
Yeah.
Because I made a lot of rodeos, and I always loved going to the quarter horse shows because I loved all the other events and seeing the pretty horses and everything. But it was hard because it is hard to qualify for both.
Yeah.
But to actually win both, that horse really stood out for me.
Yeah.
Different style than CB Reed altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But he would run around a barrel where CB would slide around the barrel.
Yeah.
But different styles for different horses.
Did Ari ever tell you what was special about that horse when he saw him in the arena and he told you needed to go check it out?
Well, he had an eye for a good horse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he just saw the want to
Yeah,
in that horse that,
ah.
he kinda you could tell the want to was there.
Is that kinda what set Sonny apart? He just had a drive and
Yes,
a hunger? Oh,
yes,
how
and then he always told me on CB Reed that he was after the horse instead of me. I'd always hear that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not surprised that y'all were able to accomplish that feat. I mean, when you combine the heart of that horse and your determination together, it's just adding fuel to the fire.
Right.
That's so incredible. Yeah, and y'all won the 1980 NFR that year too. Oh my gosh. Was that your first NFR win?
Uh, well, it was the first time that I had tried to win the world,
Mhm.
and it went down to the 10th run. Actually, I had 3 students there, Shane Mason, Lynn McKenzie, Jeannie Davis, and they were riding horses that I had found for them
Oh,
or that they had found, and I had helped them train, so it was really good. It went to the 10th run. Lynn McKenzie, my own student, and I went right down to the
my
end,
goodness.
and all I had to do to win the world was not hit a barrel, and when I got to the first barrel, he slipped, and I almost didn't get him over for the second barrel,
Mm.
so it was quite a win that night,
Yeah.
so I
Oh,
was excited.
wow. That is so cool.
CB, you said that he was the love of your life, and just kind of what the relationship was with him. And I mean, barrel racing was relatively newer in those days. What was that like?
I was starting out. Here was this great horse that I had found. I was working at Thicol Chemical, which was a government plant in Karnak, and I started winning so much money that I actually quit that good job.
Yeah.
And this horse, he would actually get to the rodeo and in the beginning, I was making what you call amateur rodeos. I did not join the professionals in the very beginning, but within 200 miles, you could go to 2 or 3 rodeos on a weekend.
Mhm.
And this horse, he had so much good disposition. He loved to win. He had the want to,
Mhm.
and he instilled me to have that want to. And really, having that good horse is the reason I started clinics because everybody wanted to know what I did to win.
Right, right.
So it started our clinics, which I'm still having today.
Yeah, and it's the oldest running school, right, in the world?
Yes.
How
Started in 1967, and right now we're having more clinics than ever.
Oh, yeah. Is there a certain success story that, maybe a clinician not a clinician, but someone who came to the clinic has done with their American Quarter Horse? Any special stories that come to mind?
Quite a few.
Yeah, it's kinda hard to put
Quite
you
a
on the
few.
spot.
Fallon Taylor started here when she was very young. Now
Yeah.
she's got her own line of horses and a
Wow.
clothing line. Of course, Mary Walker. She's got quite a success story. She won the world championship. She started here when she was 13. Many, many. But you know what they would also want to do? They'd want to go to the quarter horse shows and win the world.
Mhm.
And there were several that did that.
Wow. Well, thank you for instilling that love in them, Martha. I love that. Man. So, we were talking about CB and Sunny, and they were both powerhouse horses. And now we're going to transition and talk about I don't know, I might butcher his name. Jettenfer Pay?
Jet on for
Jet.
pay.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jet on for pay was by Jet's Payday. And he sired a lot of race horses, but he sired a lot of really good barrel horses. So Jet
Yeah.
on for Pay was actually trained by one of my students. I started that year on a great horse, Royal Moon, and he was by Top Moon, and he got crippled right before the finals. Linda Sullivan, one of my students, had trained Jet on for Pay, and I borrowed him to go to some of the circuit finals. I won
Yeah.
that on him and then went to the NFR. And he was another good one. He could run and turn. And I always loved to win the go-rounds, but I
Yeah.
loved to winning the average. And he was an average horse because, 10 runs at the NFR, it takes a really consistent horse.
Yeah.
And he was there to win.
Yeah. Yeah, and that personality he must have had to be that consistent. I mean, what was his personality like?
I've been so fortunate. Every horse that I rode had good personalities, good dispositions, and had the want to.
Yeah.
And, of course, then when we finished at the NFR one year, it depended on how you finished. The top 3 barrel racers got to go to the Winter Olympics at Calgary, Canada. And I had a horse named Swinser Bug. He was another quick, had another different style, but loved to go win. And I took him to the Olympics, and together with the other USA team, we won the gold.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
that was so much fun being at the Olympic on a horse.
I know.
Because I had watched the Olympics for years, never dreamed that the horse and us, we would be there. Because of our horses, we got to go to the Olympics.
He truly took you where no other cowgirl's ever been before.
And,
how neat.
One thing I think that I loved about my career, I didn't just want to do one thing. I wanted to do everything. And getting to go to the Olympics was really one of the elite things.
Yeah, that is.
But on a horse.
Yes.
Everything I did, I wanted to do on a horse. I've ridden little horses, big horses, but they were all American Quarter Horse Association horses. And I've always thought how important these horses. People say all the time, is it 50% horse, 50% rider, or exactly what? And I really think it might be more on the horse. Yeah. An average rider, if you give them that great horse, they can win. You can take the best rider in the world, and if that horse doesn't have the want to. And so I've been so fortunate in having horses. Orange Smash, big. He was huge, but loved the outdoor pens, loved the little pens. I go around at the NFR, but then in 10 days, we won Walla Walla, Washington, Fiala, Washington, and Ellensburg, all within 10 days. Big, huge pens.
Exactly.
But he was big, 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 but he loved to run and turn. A lot of people will say right now, what horse did Martha Josey ride that you loved the most? And a lot of people will say Orange Smash because he was huge. I could stand up to him and he was like way over my shoulder. But, and a lot of times the reason my students love my horses so much, because when they'd come to the ranch, I'd let them ride my good horses. And a lot of them, to this day, they'll write me letters and they'll say, I got to ride CB, or I got to ride Sunny, or Orange Smash. And that was one of the highlights of their careers, is coming to Josey Ranch and riding my horses.
Wow. And I mean, you've had so many champion horses. I mean, absolute powerhouses. What are the traits that you've noticed across the horses you've worked with that truly make a champion?
Want to.
The want to.
Yeah. The want to. Yeah. And disposition. And, of course, from my dad teaching me how to look for balance. Balance, Yeah. They need to look the part, and it's kind of like, when somebody's scouting for the best quarterback of a football team, that's what scouting for a good horse is.
Yeah, the confirmation is that foundation.
Everything. And, we've been I think we're so blessed to be able to have these horses and these equines that we can ride and love, and they love us back too.
Yes. When you said that these horses had the want to, is that something that you had to cultivate in them to make them realize that they wanted to do this? Or do you think it was something they just loved their job?
They loved their job.
Yeah.
They naturally loved it.
Yeah.
And that, almost every horse that I've ever ridden had that want to. And I think the want to of that horse gives it to that person too. I actually feel sorry for the little girl in New York City that's in a high-rise apartment that didn't get to ride that horse, because it's been so important to me in my life and all of my friends to be experiencing what we're doing with horses.
Yes, yes, they are the best medicine.
And then I had another one, Mr. Revolution Bars. He was by Saint Bar, and going back to all those great horses, and came to a clinic. His little this boy came on this horse, and he his little sister had ridden this horse in play days, and she just kind of played with him, and he came, and the first night he won the go-round.
Wow.
The first day at our junior world, and we had the first barrel race for kids. We started the Josey World Champion Junior Barrel Race for 20 and under, and this boy had come on this horse, and I tried to buy him. They didn't want to sell him, but he came back the next year and hit a barrel. Said they didn't want to sell him, but after they got home, they said, "Okay, we'll sell him."
Oh.
And the first rodeo I went to was Reno, Nevada, and won it.
No way. So what was it about Mr. Revolution Bar that you're like, that one, I want him?
He could run and turn and love doing it.
Yeah, they're so versatile. And sometimes I don't know where they get theirs.
It's kind of like the cutting horse loving to cut the cow. I think the barrel horse needs to have the run of the racehorse, or the ones that can really run, but they need to have the want to and the hunt that the cutting horse has. So I've always looked for something with the running breeding and the cow horse breeding.
Yeah, that hunger for it. And then Mr. Revolution Bar, he had it all.
Oh, he did.
He was the package. Man.
He broke a lot of arena records.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us what Mr. Revolution Bar did that was so special for you.
Okay, he made it where I got to qualify for the national finals for 4 different decades.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was wonderful. I got to go in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and in the 90s.
Oh, my goodness. So
that was what, he got me to the NFR for 4 decades. So that was outstanding. And, if you want to go to the NFR and your goal is to get that good horse, get that want to, because you can do it. I tell my students all the time, you don't get the want to you don't get the how to until you get the want to. So if you want it bad enough and you want to go out and look for that top horse, you can do it.
That's amazing. So if you were going to give advice to someone who's looking for a horse, what would you tell them so they can get the best horse possible?
Okay, it's real important too, and I see this at clinics all the time. Start the little ones, the young ones, on something that is show pattern. And I did the first demonstration at the All-American Quarter Horse Congress, which I love, and I had my mother haul a horse all the way there just so I could show what kind of horse that you need for a beginner. And I just turned, and they took the bridle off. She ran barrels without a bridle.
No way.
And I said, this is what a beginner needs.
Yeah.
And, that was showing that they've got to be dedicated. They've got to be safe. And then you can gradually increase them to more horse. But if you start them off with too much horse in the beginning. But I tell my barrel racers all the time, I said, if you are riding a horse and he's not quite as good as you want to be, if you want to go to the NFR and he's not quite going to get you there, get him as good as he can be, sell him to somebody else, because people are always looking for good trained horses.
Yes, sir.
And then you are, keep looking for that winter that will get you there.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. And you have just such a heart for people, Martha. I've just loved getting to see your impact and just your love for the American Quarter Horse.
Well, thank you. We started the Junior World because the kids loved it so much. And then we started the reunion for former students. And we've had so many students through here. And then the latest we've started is the senior barrel race. We call it the Gold Cup. And it's for 50 and over because there's a lot of those ladies and men that still love to run barrels.
Oh, that's incredible. See, you're just giving everyone inspiration.
And I love the National Barrel Horse Association, what they've done for horses too, because they put the 4D and the 5D together. And that brings out that horse that might not run that per 1D time, but they're still there. They've got to try. Want to. A lot of people have gotten these horses out of the pasture and brought them back and put them back on the trail again.
Yeah, and sometimes they're just like the unlikely competitor that is the underdog and takes it all.
Right.
And as we look back at your career, were there any horses that surprised you that you didn't think may have not been a good fit, but they turned out to be perfect for the job?
Oh, someone sent a stallion here, and his name was Crystal Moon. And he was beautiful, and he was a roping horse. And I said, I want to try him on the barrels.
Yeah.
And he made a barrel racing horse overnight. And he was a good one. And a stallion.
Yeah.
So, and I've ridden some really good geldings. I've ridden some good stallions. But one of the best ones that I found too was a mare. And her name was Clabber's Barmaid. Found her at a clinic and bought her. I went on to win the Texas Barrel Racing Association on them. Sold her to a girl that did so good on them. And I kept most of my horses, but I sold some of them too because needed the money to go on to other rodeos.
Yeah.
I actually sold Sonny Bitterbow.
Oh, yeah.
And when he was 20 years old, the girl that had him called me and said, would you like to retire him at the Josey Ranch? I said, oh, I would. And I did. We retired him right here.
Oh, that's so special. What a full circle moment for him. Oh, that's precious. And that was one thing I did want to ask you. You were talking about you've had a lot of geldings and then you had this mare come along. What is one trait between geldings and mares that, you love more so about the mares? Like what really sets them apart? Are they hungrier? Are they smarter?
Mares are I think they really learn quick. They are smart, but I've found all of them are gelding. I mean, I've never said, well, I'd rather ride a gelding than a mare or anything. I want to ride a winner. So whatever they are and they want to win, that's what I want.
All right. So were there any other horses that were important that you may not have won a lot on, but they still were a staple in like helping you develop your skills?
Okay. Yes. There was 2 different horses that I absolutely loved. They never belonged to me, but I got to ride them. And one was a horse named Joby Jammin.
Oh.
A girl named Sue Barona from Pennsylvania came to my very first clinic with her daddy, and she had a little play day horse on riding then. But she learned enough that she went home and trained the horse Joby Jammin. And she won the Quarter Horse Congress. Her sister won it. I won just about everything I went to on him. And he's the horse that put me on the Wheaties box.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So that was absolutely wonderful. And he was so good. He was a horse that you see some horses that don't want to go in the arena. When you put him in the alleyway, zoom, he was gone because he loved to run barrels. And he was one of my very favorites. I won a lot of different rodeos. And then there was the horse named Red Man Bay.
Oh.
I had seen him for years, and a boy had been riding him for years and had always wanted him. And I was coming home from the Quarter Horse Congress, and I said, I'm going to stop and see if they would sell him. Well, I stopped, and they said, well, we would sell him to one person. And I said, oh, really? Who? They said, you.
Oh.
And so I said, well, I can't buy him right now, but I've got someone that will. There was a man named Mr. Fred Boyd, and he was from Mississippi, and he had a little granddaughter named Blaze. And I talked to him, and I said, I found this horse. And he said, okay, try him, and if you like him, buy him. And I did. I bought him, and I got to ride him for a year and did really, really good. And then Blaze took the reins, and she won everything on him.
Yeah.
And then he was one of my very favorite horses.
So, Martha, just throughout this interview, we've gotten to hear so much about your life and your career, and it seems that AQHA has had quite the impact on your life. Tell us how AQHA has really shaped your life.
Well, for my dad getting the first quarter horse and bringing him, and then that's where I wanted to go, was to the quarter horse shows, because that's where he loved to go. And I always loved it because you could win all kind of pretty pads with the leather, and I've still got them all over my house and in my trophy room now. But the memories and everything, and my students that after I'd win the world and the AQHA, and now probably the favorite thing that I ever tell is I've got a horse that won both the AQHA and the WPRA, because that was so precious getting to win that. And all the good, I think those great quarter horse shows, like there's so many of them. One place that I always loved to go was Fort Worth and Houston. And I love going to the rodeo, but I love going to the quarter horse shows. They were always good. They paid good. The people looked good that were entered. And I just love the quarter horse shows.
Yeah. What a life well spent. Oh, how special, Martha. Oh my gosh. That is just so incredible to see the lives you've touched and how successful they are. Man, what a testament to just your career and your legacy. You were talking about Redman, and you said he was one of your favorites. What made him one of your favorites?
He loved to run barrels.
Yeah.
You just headed him out there, and he ran and turned. Never hit barrels. Always just had a lot of try. And I've had a few injuries, and they were never due to the horse. It was always something something else. But at a certain rodeo, the gate was open, and by mistake. And when I was running out on Redman Bay, they said, Martha Josey's coming, shut the gate. They did, right in front of me, and he and I both went over the gate. I think I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks, and they said I would never ride again and never walk again. And of course, I was at Greeley, Colorado on him just about 3 months later, making the short go. So here, those horses, and I have people all the time call me, how do you get your confidence? I've been in this accident now. I said, go back to that horse. Go get you a horse. Some of them have been in a car accident and don't even have a horse. And I'll say, go get you a horse, because that will keep you young.
Yeah. So Redman is the one that got you to ride again.
Yeah.
Got you out of the hospital and back in the arena. Man, how special. Tell us about that bond you had with Redman. Do you think he missed it? Do you think he was ready to hit the road again?
Well, he was hurt almost as bad as I was. So it took a lot out of him, but he came right back too.
Yeah.
And he was back to winning. But, these horses here again, having that horse and building that confidence. From having clinics and schools, we see the confidence that a horse will put into a person.
Yeah.
Whether it's a little boy or a little girl or a roper or a barrel racer or whatever event.
Yeah, that is so incredible. The horse does so much for us. Yeah. So you said that, Redman was one of your favorites. So looking back, which one was your favorite?
I would have to say, they were all my favorite. It's so hard to say, but probably I would have to say C.B. Reed, because he's the one that got me started, and it was just incredible that I got that horse, because if I hadn't gotten that horse, I probably wouldn't have been teaching, and and getting to win the world championships and going like I've done for years. And because that horse. And then if it hadn't been for my mother helping me buy that horse, so families. And that's another thing that's so good about having a horse but the barrel racing and the rodeos and the quarter horse shows. The whole family can do it.
Yeah.
You see other sports and you can compete, but the parents can't. But in barrel racing and what we're doing, the whole family can be involved. If they don't compete, they can sure be good coaches.
That's so true.
Mothers and dads are great coaches.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Man, it truly is such a wonderful lifestyle that we get to live because it is so family oriented and not many other sports are like that. Yeah. So is there one horse looking back at your entire career that you wish you could ride again?
They were all fun.
Yeah.
My horses, they wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
They loved to win, and I would love to have any of those horses back.
You talked about family so much and CB and your mom, but what did it feel like to know that CB kind of came through your dad also, since it was a mare that your dad had bought and picked out and then, got sold? I think that connection is just like such like a God thing.
Special. Yeah, divine is what it is.
Yeah, okay.
Aw. Yeah.
Okay. And Bobby, one thing about CB that was so special, my dad had picked out that mare, Baconary, and my mother had to sell that mare when my father passed away. But then she was the mother of CB. And then even my mother was a waitress. And when she gave me that $2,500, she was a waitress. She had to go to work every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. She got off at 2. And when I got off from my work at Thicall, 5 o'clock, she would have CB loaded in a trailer. Wasn't that $5 trailer? I had a special trailer made when he started winning so much. And it put a special bond with being my mother too. But also one year, one of the different, I think he was a photographer, said, "Why are you still going to the amateur rodeos when you could be going to the pros?" And I said, "Well, how much did the pro win this year?" It was like 6,000 or 7,000. And I said, "Well, this year, making amateur rodeos, and I'm still working, I won $12,273. And so that was a lot of money back then.
Yes.
That was back in the 60s. But here again, CB loved to win. One thing, the cowboys didn't think that much about barrel racing back then, but they'd all come to the arena to watch CB run because he had such a style. And CB would go to watch the other barrel racers run, and I swear he would walk to the fence and he'd go like he's looking at the first barrel, the second barrel, the third barrel, and he was thinking, how fast do I need to run? Because he was just an absolute winner.
Yeah.
And when I first started barrel racing, I had a coach when I played basketball, and she said, "You don't just practice, you practice perfect." And she was one of my mentors, but she taught me, that you really practice right. And that's what we still do at our schools and clinics. We've got some of the very best instructors in the world. And many of them, whether they were ropers or barrel racers, went to follow the same dreams that we did as far as wanting to go to the AQHA finals, wanting to go to the national finals, the NFR. So,
wow. That is incredible. I love that so much. Yes, you've impacted so many people and changed so many lives through your love of the quarter horse. It is so special. Man, so thank you for leaving a legacy for so many people to learn from and be inspired by, and more importantly, fall in love with the quarter horse.
well, we're tickled that we were able to bring one of the first ones into this part of the country and to study the breeding. I think that's so important because, the breeding on these horses, used to, you didn't say in barrel racing that I'm going to go look at what this horse is out of or by like you do now. You just went and bought a horse. But now the breeding is so important because we're actually breeding for barrel horses like race horses and cutting horses have been, bred for years.
Yeah. So when the times that you started getting involved in barrel racing competitively in modern day, have you seen a big difference in the bloodlines and what separates the two now? Is there a big difference between quarter horses that barrel race now than they did back then?
Well, I think the winners back a long time ago, you bring those same horses back today, they'd still be winners because they were so exceptional.
Yeah.
And there are several that I can remember, several great horses. But now everybody's looking for that fast, quick horse that keeps that head down, that can run and turn. And they need to be able to really run, and they need to be able to really be athletic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they got to have it all.
those exceptional ones like CB did it in the beginning, but there's just more of them now.
And that's one thing about quarter horses. They really do have the speed, the versatility, the mind for it. Yeah, they are incredible. But
When my daddy first said how much he was loving the quarter horse, I said, why are they called quarter horse? He said, because they can run the quarter of a mile faster than anything.
yeah, like light, and I know it.
Yeah.
And they can just do so much. I mean, not just the barrels, they do the roping. And I mean,
I'm just happy that I got to see the beginning of the quarter horse so much because the what it did for my dad when he first got the first one.
Do you know how your father got involved with quarter horses?
He had walking horses in the beginning and he loved horses. And then he saw an ad about a quarter horse.
Yeah.
And his picture is one of it. I've still got some of the older the first quarter horse journal.
Yeah.
It's just a little piece of paper. But
Yes.
he loved the quarter horse.
Yeah, and the rest is history. I love that.
They always talk about the 8 horses that I had because 6 of those horses went to the NFR. The other 2 took me to so many wins, but I actually had so many more. When I first started, it was quarter horse shows, and then I went to some rodeos, and then I went to the American Royal. That was also the quarter horse show.
Yeah.
But, then rodeos and futurities. Now there's so many things to go to.
Yeah.
And there's so many good paying things now. I tell my students all the time, you could make a good living training horses.
Yeah.
You can make a good living selling horses. You can make a good living like you've done with your career and being the rodeo queen, because marketing.
That's so true.
You've got to be out there looking good. I tell my barrel racers all the time, you may hit a barrel, the first barrel, you might run wide on the second barrel, out the arena on the third, but when you come to the alleyway, if you say, well, I sure did look good, that person loves to go back in that arena. They know how to train that horse, how to solve problems, how to get that horse to work it. And I think it really helps the rider. I know it mentally and physically.
Yes. Quarter horses, they teach us so much. So looking back, out of all the quarter horses you've been blessed to be a part of and help with their career, is there one lesson that you value the most from having quarter horses your entire life?
I think one of the best and greatest things is when my students win. When they win, I win. And we've got so many students that are riding really great quarter horses that are out there winning. And going to the quarter horse shows or the World Show or the Quarter Horse Congress. That was one of the best days of my life is going to that because of all the good horses. So seeing my students win, whether it's in the Queen's contest or little, whatever they're doing, the Little Britches or the high school or college. And I've got so many students that are doing so well.
Martha, thank you. We've enjoyed getting to learn more about you today and the wonderful horses that built you. Is there anything else you'd like to add or any?
Oh, I got a new horse.
You got a new horse. Tell us about
got a new
him.
horse. In fact, 2 weeks ago, he is 16-1.
Oh my goodness.
And he's big and beautiful. He's a Palomino with a gorgeous mane and tail that drops to the ground.
Yeah.
He's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh.
And the first thing they said, well, Martha, he's so tall. How are you going to get on him? I said, oh, hey, you never look for a reason that would keep you from buying a horse. You look at the reason why. And I said, he's gorgeous and he's got a real long name because he's got all kind of good breeding, great breeding. But I've nicknamed him Sunny, Sunny, because of my other great horse that I won the AQHA and the WPRA on was Sunny, Sonny. So he's beautiful.
Oh my goodness, he sounds like it. Gosh, I'm so excited to follow along your journey. Oh,
in fact, I rode him. I've been riding him every day and love him.
Yeah, quarter horses, they're easy to love.
He is. And I had been looking for this particular color for a long time.
When you finally got one. Oh, I love that. All right. Well, Martha, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Well, Bobby, it's been a pleasure. The horses have done it all.
Thanks for listening. To learn more about the horses we discussed in this episode, visit aqha.com/goodhorses. There you can explore the pedigrees, performance achievements, breeding history, and much more. It's the perfect place to dig deeper and stay connected with the American Quarter Horse. Don't forget to subscribe for updates and follow AQHA on social media.